process of ending something and starting something new, I've never been able to travel because I've always been worried about Kosta. Even if I've gone away for 2 weeks, is calling my mom, would take care of him, like, how is Kosta doing? Like, are you taking care of him? And I could never really feel at peace because it was like, I just wanted to make sure he was okay. I got him when he was 3 weeks old from Craigslist. Him and his sister, so I got both of them. And I ended up realizing I couldn't take care of 2 dogs, and I kept Kosta out of them all, and he was so hyper. He was so energetic, so much energy. I could not, like, sometimes I thought, like, how am I going to take care of this dog? I was working at a racket club at the time, and it was like he would sit by the window and wait for me to come back, like all day, just sit there by the window. I would leave at like 8 in the morning and I come back. I get back at like 6, and he was sitting on top of a table that overlooked where he saw me leave last, and he would sit there waiting. And it was so crazy that when I get back, he was looking in the same direction. Like, that's how much we had a connection. He was like 6 months old. Between a lot of different ups and downs for me, like personally, like going through a lot of different experiences, a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, and kind of having him always there to lean on, having that go to an end is really, really hard. I don't know how, or try to work on other areas of my life, which is like a huge part of me, which has taught me so much about love, and taught me so much about kindness, and taught me so much about giving back. And I mean, I'm spending hours a day because he still wanted to go for a walk. So I was spending hours a day taking him places, taking him for his walks. And then he couldn't go to the bathroom anymore. So then I'm spending hours making sure I'm changing him in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 times during the night. He would cry because he would pee, and he didn't want to be soaked in his pee, so I had to change him. And luckily my mom helped a lot during the process, but like, he still wanted to keep going. Like, normally I would say, okay, like, put your dog to sleep, but he still had that life in him, and he still wanted, because he had so much love, so he was so excited to still go to the park. He stopped eating. I thought, okay, this is going to be it. But then he learned that he just banged his head against a bunch of stuff, and then he would still keep going. Like, okay, I learned that from now on, I'm just going to be banging my head against stuff. And I think that for dogs, is like, he had nothing to compare it to. For him, he's just thinking that his life is blind, and that's just the way life is now. And I think, like, animals have so much, they teach us so much, because I think they're here they have their own purpose. They live to give us unconditional love. And there's so many things I learned from him, just that, like, I'll never lose. And I think that it'll always be with me, and just treating people better, and like learning to be like, hey, that's okay. Like, that's just part of life. And I've been dealing with that for the last 2 years, and having to give up a lot, because for him, like, when I was living in LA, he couldn't live with me, and I had to drive home to Santa Barbara every weekend. And so I was driving back and forth. And then in Las Vegas, he tried to live with me there, but because of his eyesight, he couldn't figure his way around. So I had this connection with him, and he taught me that. And I think before having him, I think I was probably a douchebag. I was probably very self-centered, and I don't think that I cared much about anyone else but myself. He had taught me so many things that, like, I don't think I'll be able to learn anywhere else. It opens up a different part of my life, because it allows me to be able to do things that I've never been able to do before, like travel. And not that I would, like, I just think that sometimes things have to come to an end, and that end doesn't mean the end for everything. I think it means, like, it's a new beginning for something else. And so maybe that is an end for me and him, but maybe that opens up something for me living my dreams, which before I don't think I could have done with him, because especially when his legs are giving out, I couldn't go anywhere. Like, I had to be staying in Santa Barbara, just taking care of them. So now I'm able to, like, travel. I'm able to do things, speak, and live my life the way that I want. And I would never, like, take that back, those 15 years, because I think they taught me so much. And I think the love that I have for him is always going to be there, and you can't take that away. And I think if you've ever had a dog, or anything that you've really had, like, it's just something that, like, I think that I'll always be sad about. But I'm trying to this is my last day. I've spent the last 2 weeks laying with him, petting him, and he's been on pain meds, so he hasn't been in pain, but he just hasn't been living the life he wants to live. And it's like I could keep prolonging it a day more, which I have, because it's really hard to just say, 5 p.m. Sunday is the day, and it's already been past a week when I was supposed to, and I think I'm just putting off the inevitable of having to grieve, and I think I have to grieve that. I have to. And part of it, that feeling when you cry and it feels good to cry, and I felt like that was the first time a rush of emotion that I started crying, and it was like I've been, and I'm a very emotional person, so it's not like I'm trying to hold it all in, but it was just the first time that I can let it all out. I know that it's going to be hard just sitting there, especially if you put a dog to sleep and here's the last moments with your dog, say goodbye, we'll give him a pain shot, and then you sit there and you talk to him, and then you they pass on, and then they're like, okay, he's gone. Just the whole experience is, I know right now I'm trying, my mind is really trying to block it out because it doesn't want to feel it. And then I'm going to Costa Rica tonight because I don't want to be around anything that reminds me of him. And I know I'm going to have to process these emotions. I'm not processing yet, so the lady's trying to interrupt me. And I think it's just so intimate, that relationship that you have with another animal. And I think that it's something that you're always going to be healing, which my dog, of course it's going to remind me of those feelings. It's the place that, taking to the beach and going to the beach and not having a dog with me. Every time I've gone to the beach, I've always had my dog with me. I mean, how do you go to a beach and not feel something when you don't have a dog with you? Just going to sleep and not having a dog, your dog with you, it's just it's always going to be there. It's always going to hurt. And I think but it hurts good knowing that you were able to have love for something and love for someone outside of yourself, and that connection that you have is worth something, and it's it makes life worth living. I feel like that is the point of life, is to love. That love that you have with an animal is just something that is never going to leave you ever. It's just a connection that is there. I feel like you'll feel it. I feel like anywhere you go, you're going to heal in stages, because he's in the back. I'm trying to take him to his favorite spot. I have to grieve, and I didn't want to regret any of it. I have to grieve, and I have to hurt. I have to feel those feelings, and I have to let him go. And he has to go and move on to wherever it is that he goes.